Okay, if you'll remember on these axles, they've got the kind of bolts with like the lug, like on a car. It's got those little splines on them. So they will go in from this side that way. And make sure you take the lock washer off. But they will go in from the back like that. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Get your axle pushed up here. And at this point you can still turn your wheels individually. And so get all your bolt holes lined up. Get your bolt started. And right here you can actually put a couple through. It kind of gets where if you don't put a nut on them, it may knock them off. So you want to try to hang a nut on the, if you put a bolt through. Like say, you're turning both wheels now. So we don't have a drive shaft on yet, so we can get away with this. So that's why I put my drive shaft on last. Swivel right here. That would be a tremendous help. And you can see, and maybe you can see, I don't know if you can see or not. All right, so here's that bolt. You'll be able to see it pull up. You hear it when it's stopped. You don't hear that sound. You need to keep tightening. You'll know when it's tight. So just roll her on around there. Get your next one. And you do this on both sides. And once you get them all in there, you'll be ready to go to the drive shaft. And like I say, these little splines make it where you can pull these things up. Next thing we're gonna do, put the old drive shaft in. You always put the, if it's a slip yoke, you put the front piece in first. What in the world? This thing's okay. So it's a slip yoke, so if you don't know what a slip yoke is, I can show you. Not trying to be disrespectful, but just some people don't know. Okay, so when you have a slip yoke, what you got is, as the rear end goes up and down, this thing can go in or out, you know. So that slip yoke, it slides. It's got a spline inside there. There's no way you're going to be able to see that. So on this rear end, or on the back of the transmission, you can see these gears right there. Well, the slip yoke has that very same thing, except for a female end. So when we install this jewel, those splines have to match up, and so let me get where I'm situated here. So you just got to find that sweet spot where the splines match up. Sometimes it takes it a second. It shouldn't take real long. That's why I was wondering why it's being so difficult here. So it usually don't take just a second. And so once it goes on there, that slides in, and that's a slip yoke. So that's all that is. So you'll notice this sticks out a little ways. That's your pinion, the ring geared pinion, if you ever hear that. The pinion seal is this thing. And that's the pinion nut, it's called. And so this end of the axle actually has, or the drive shaft has a hole in it, recessed, where that piece goes in that. So they're going to be 14s. All right, so they're 14s, and we'll tighten them all. Now that we got them all in, and they have lock washers on them, so you don't have to put any kind of Loctite on them. Generally, if I got lock washers, I won't put any Loctite on them. All right, so we'll grab this here 15/16 socket and the old differential. What we're going to do is we are going to add in our gear oil. And this takes the biggest portion of a quart. It's full, so it's coming out because of that, not just dripping a little out. All right, this tends to get a bit oily. So you have this end, and you stick it in there, get it secure, and then you have this pump. It's in my jug, and you pump it up, and as you're hand pumping it in there, it's introducing fuel or oil into your transmission. And you can, on these, you can stick a pinky in these most of the time, and there's your oil level. It's right at the top, so we're good. That is full. And you want to set you a drain pan or something underneath it, because it's hard to do this and not spill it. Generally, you're going to get some on the ground. So, all right, here we go. So I've never took a Miata center console out, but I got the typical tools, 10, 12, 14, Phillips screwdriver, flat screwdriver, and guess we'll start trying to figure it out. All right, here we go. Okay, so I seen that on this side right here, there's supposed to be a screw, but there's not either one in it. And there's some in the center console back here, I guess, inside this. Maybe this is the only one that's still in it. There's the gas thing. I didn't know the gas lever is in the center console. Glad I found it when I did. These appear to just be Phillips screwdriver or screws. And generally when I take the Phillips out on these, I just leave them laying in this console because I'm going to shut the door if I pull it out, and I don't want all this other stuff falling out. So I will just leave that. So that's those two. Don't see anything else. That seems to be loose. Something has to be something right here somewhere. It's Probably under this deal. Yep. One right there in the middle. And I will put that in there so we don't lose her. Something still got us somewhere back this way. Alright, so that puts that in the way. Something right there. Must just be the way the handle was sitting. Oh, we got a plug. We got a plug. So here we have a plug. Is there any other plugs? Nope. There's another screw, or unless that's one of my screws fell out. It did. It fell out of the back. That's where this handle lives. Alright. So, let's see. We got this little deal. Find my flat screwdriver. Well, no, we can take these tins out and just leave it on there. We'll at least be able to unhook it once we get it off if we want to. Yeah, let's take the tin. I don't think we need an extension on it. So we'll take our tin. There's a 10. Ah! And now it's between the seats. Okay. Put that over there. I don't see any kind of unhooking it. We'll push it off to the side. That'll work for now. And I should have done this first before I even pulled the transmission out, but I didn't. But you know, for your sake, if you're going to do this, you want to pull that shifter out, and you can see why that was kind of in a bind. And that's a brass piece. It's not plastic. I thought that was plastic, but it's not. It's actually brass. So. And that piece is, let me Google and see what oil this actually takes, because I think it's a different kind of oil than what the transmission is. I think it's separate, and we'll decide on what we have to do here. All right, here we go. Okay, so the consensus is whatever you're running in your transmission, and what I have is 80/90, the synthetic, what I use in the transmission and the rear end. I try to buy the same weight if I can. It's just, you know, if I have any left over, I can just put it in the other, you know. So I had probably, you know, 1/4 of a quart left from the Diff, and I just carried it on over to the transmission. And as far as full, the answer there was about a 1/2 inch from the top. So I would imagine, and this is called the shifter. Sorry, I had some spit gathered up there. But this is called the shifter turret. So if you Google this or research it or have any issues with it, let's let it run down. But I remember there was quite a bit come out of this jewel when we flipped it over. I don't know that that it goes anywhere besides just right in the immediate area, you know, right here. I don't know if it has to go down in this tube or any of that stuff. But the answer on how much to fill it was pretty much enough where it just doesn't run out, pretty much. Full is full. So again, like I say, I read where one guy was like, it's 1/2 inch from the top with him. That piece don't look like it would come out or anything, so you may be able to use that little deal there as a reference for you know, to stop. You know, it says as long as when you don't put the shifter in, or when you put the shifter in, it don't just push it out, you know, because it's obviously not going to help if it runs out of the top. Doesn't seem to be settling down or anything, so let's come on up with it. Seen a bubble. Well, the existing stuff was pretty nasty because it flushed some dirty looking mess up there. And right here, there's a bolt. I think you can see that in the camera, but there's a bolt right there that I would be willing to bet that you could drain that fairly easy and change that. Well, I'm lying to you. Yeah, that would be horrible actually, trying to do it with the transmission in. Let's see if it's got any air bubbles, if it'll kind of bubble out or anything. We'll put our shifter down in there. Trying to move it around, and yeah, see, that actually let a little down there, so looks like it just sloshed out though. Yeah, so there's a ball on the end of this, so it can't go, but let's see. And that ball is on this side, so that's got a, where that little nipple sticks out, I guess that has to sit in that place. So yeah, the way it looks, you can't get it but full enough for that ball to sit down in there. So that did push some out. I don't know if any of it settled or if it all pushed out. Well, some pretty rough looking stuff in there, so if it pushes any out, I won't be mad because that still looks pretty dirty. I kind of wished I would have realized what was going on with this, and I wouldn't. I read one guy said he was trying to take it out with a turkey baster and it wasn't working, so maybe a shop vac with some kind of attachment on it would cause it to, or would be able to do it, because it's pretty dirty. Even considering I put, you know, fresh oil in it, that still looks pretty dirty to me. So I guess we just set our shifter back. Yeah, you can see it's going to push quite a bit out when you get it situated, and that's just pushing it down in there and sitting everything as it should. You'll find that spot where that little piece there sets into that. You gotta get that lined up, and when you see it drop. So when it drops, and now we have to turn our plate here to where it should live. I guess that would be it. So yeah, I gotta get the bolts, but yeah, that's kind of how it's gonna have to go. So more than a ½ inch, it's going to run out. So you probably, it almost looked like it maybe 1 inch in there before when it was full. But let me get some bolts. Okay, so I got our bolts. There's 3 of these teeny tiny jobs. And they go in like that. There's 3 around there. Get them all started. May have to get a ratchet. I don't know if I'll be able to get that boot to pull up. If I can even get this one started. Kind of an oddball. There we go. Alright, so we got that one. And our last one. And my hands is greasy. So you definitely want to take this out first if you are doing this job. So see how it's spilled now, and I had it quite a ways up. So, all right, so let's see how she shifts. Tools in the way here. We're gonna have to definitely bleed the clutch. I'm feeling high. I'm feeling high.